Ahsoka. In the last episode, the protagonist Ahsoka Tano and her student Sabine had been chasing the bad guys, and their communications were being jammed as soon as they got into the bad guys' system.
But it's not up to me. I just followed the order.
Hera? Liu Yang, what's happened?
We've entered the Denab system. All comm transmissions are being jammed.
Their ship had been badly damaged, causing them to hide in some woods. Now, can you guess what they're doing at the start of this episode?
Come in, Home 1, do you read us?
Comms are still down and the primary power converter is offline. We can't send a distress signal and our ship isn't going anywhere.
Their number one priority is to restore communications. Wait, what? The same comms that were being jammed from clear across the system when everything was working alright on your ship. Those ones. And you're now next to the enemy ships and their base. From the lead character's perspective, why would they ever think that this would work? I mean, the logical choice for me would have been to get engines working so you could get away if you needed to, and boy are we in for it this episode, because that kind of sums up what we're going to get. The showrunners wanted certain scenes in the show, and they're not bad scenes. That's fine, I didn't loathe them. The problem is that the writers didn't particularly seem to care how they got them in there. A smart piece of writing would have been to have Ahsoka detect the jammer, and that's why you're working on the comms, because Ahsoka intends to go to the enemy base and destroy the jammer, then you can get a signal through to your fleet. It's amazing how little thought seems to have gone into the writing of this multi-million-dollar show. Ahsoka already wants to go to the enemy's ground base, which is close, and wants to destroy the star map if they can't get it back. And she's right. The chance of getting Ezra Bridger back is not worth reigniting a galactic civil war that could cost the lives of billions. And Sabine could not be more obvious that she cares more about Ezra than the potential billions of lost lives. Ahsoka asks her,
Can I count on you?
and no, you obviously can't.
You know you can.
If you could count on her, the enemy wouldn't even have the map right now. Sabine and Ahsoka go into the ship for reasons, and leave David Tennant droid alone to fix the ship. They're maybe getting equipment, I'm not sure what they're waiting for. They wait so long that the bad guys find Ahsoka's starship, with what appears to be droids on the ground, the same type Ahsoka fought in episode 1. And the droids won't delay them for long, we're told by the bad guys. And why delay them at all? Get rid of them. The bad guys know how dangerous they are. Wait for a moment of weakness, like say, right now, when Ahsoka and Sabine are in the ship, get your droids and run them all under Ahsoka's ship and self-destruct them. They won't even see it coming. Do you think the bad guys do that? No, they don't. How about the bad guys get back into their fighters, take off and blow Ahsoka's ship up from the air with them in it? Maybe not quite as good as the droids, but that may work. No, they don't do that one either. Okay, how about taking the massive gunship that you have in orbit and doing an orbital strike on Ahsoka's parked ship without its shields up with your turbo lasers? No, they don't do that one either. Instead, what the bad guys do is split up repeatedly. They give up the element of surprise to have one droid punch another droid. That was the sum total of their surprise attack. One droid attacks and tries to punch the David Tennant droid. And where are its weapons? Why send a droid in alone that has no weapons? It makes no sense. But they really wanted to have this fight. This fight. The bad guys didn't even all go in together. Just one droid and some baddies with blasters several meters back. I don't know why they didn't wait for the two Force users to back them up before attacking. I don't know why whenever someone has a very small piece of Mandalorian armour on, everyone aims for the armoured parts exclusively and not the parts of their bodies that are vulnerable. Ahsoka and Sabine then run towards the enemy base and meet the bad guys Marok and Shin in the woods. But before they leave, the David Tennant droid asks them to stay together, telling them that they're better that way. They agree and leave. Don't ask me why Balon stayed behind. I don't even know what the bad guys' priorities are at this point. If their priority is guarding the map, then have their whole force stay and guard the map. Ahsoka and Sabine would have no chance against Balon, Marok and a load of guys and droids all at once, so the bad guys have to do a laundry list of completely irrational things in order to set up these duels. The whole episode is people making irrational decisions to make scenes happen that the showrunners wanted to get in there. The duels themselves aren't horrible, I want to say. They have problems too. They're better than the Sabine versus Shin duel from episode 1, that's for sure, where both Shin and Sabine did not seem to notice that all Sabine had to do at this point in the duel was swing her sword down and it would melt Shin's head off. Or how about, instead of pulling her sword straight out here, Shin could sweep it to her right and effectively cut Sabine in half. I need some cosplay, and you know what maybe would get people watching Star Wars again? How about a Mara Jade series starring Karen Gillan? Don't ever Google her, by the way. I got a lot of CGI images people had made of Karen Gillan in a skin-tight black latex bodysuit, so don't Google her unless that's what you want to get. Ah, but I forgot. We just can't have femininity any longer in films or TV. Disney already have Karen Gillan, and this is what they did with her. She had that lovely hair, and you give her a Sinead O'Connor cut and dress her like a teenage boy again. And it must take some serious work to make Karen Gillan look boyish. She's adorable. She seems too cute, frankly, to be real. She's like some kind of magical woodland sprite. They also have the actress playing Sabine Wren, and this is what they did with her. And they can change Sabine's costume. She hasn't always got to look like Rebel Sabine. She can grow up. Mostly people do grow out of the graffiti artist with purple hair and eyeshadow phase at some point. So the duels go on. Ahsoka against Marok, a character... Well, Marok's not even really a character, is he? She, it, whatever. Marok, whatever the hell Marok was, gets defeated, and green gas comes out of a cut in their midriff. I've got nothing. Best guess, this is a reference to the Clone Wars, where Night Sisters, like whatever her name is, Morgan Elspeth, well, it looked similar to when the Night Sisters used the dark side to reanimate bodies. So, is Marok gone now? Was Marok never alive in the first place? Is that character coming back? Not a clue, I've got nothing. And assuming I'm right, what was a viewer supposed to make of this scene if they hadn't seen Clone Wars? Somebody gets cut down, green gas comes out, and then the show never explains it. And I've watched all of the shows that led to Ahsoka quite recently, and if I don't get it, new viewers have frankly got no chance. Meanwhile, Sabine is fighting Shin again, and it's now 2 versus 1. Ahsoka can go and help Sabine, and then together they can go and get the map. That would be the most logical course of action, especially considering the last time they fought, Sabine ended up getting a lightsaber through the stomach. Do what David Tennant told you and stay together, but Sabine instead tells Ahsoka to go and get the map instead. The map that they don't even know is there. There's a time limit, you see. The map is decoding and plotting a path for the bad guys to get to Thrawn. And the audience knows that, and the audience knows where the map is. The problem is that in the show, they didn't bother to write in a reason for Ahsoka and Sabine to know either of those things. To make this work, maybe instead they could have had David Tennant droid get the sensors working on the ship and tell Ahsoka that the map is nearly decoded and where it is and she has to go right now. Instead, the writing on this show is incompetent. And even if I really was getting into the fight scene, the show keeps on cutting away to show me something else. The audience don't even get to see the whole Shin versus Sabine rematch because Ahsoka starts fighting Balon for the map. The fight scenes are not bad, but in parts, I am getting flashback to the Rings of Power again, because the stunt guy that they have playing Ray Stevenson looks nothing like him, and in certain shots, it's incredibly obvious. Sabine's fight ends in a draw, and they both run back to the map site, where Ahsoka has grabbed the map sphere from the plinth. Ahsoka knocks out Shin, Balon pushes Ahsoka back to a cliff edge, and Sabine threatens to blow up the sphere and her own hand if Balon doesn't let Ahsoka go. Balon knocks Ahsoka off the cliff anyway, and later she has a vision of creepy Uncanny Valley Anakin Skywalker, her old teacher who became Darth Vader. Sabine doesn't blow the map up because Balon offers to take her to the other galaxy where Ezra Bridger is, and I have no idea why he didn't just use the Force to take it out of her hand, but she's taken prisoner and taken aboard the bad guy's ship. So the map's complete, and the bad guys are ready to go and get Thrawn from another galaxy, but much like Balon and Marok, they haven't taken the time to really build them up as bad guys or threats, so it doesn't mean much unless you've read the Thrawn books or watched Star Wars Rebels. Hera turns up with some ships to try and stop the bad guys, and David Tennant droid has fixed the comms on Ahsoka's ship and tells Hera what's going on. For some reason, comms are no longer being jammed. I've got nothing, I have no idea why. Hera brought her kid along for reasons, and the bad guys hyperspace away, and some of Hera's ships get blown up in the wake. And what would have happened if a single fighter had got in the way of their ship? Because after The Last Jedi, which is now canon, along with how it left the law for hyperspace ramming in the series, one fighter in the way would probably have blown up their massive ship. What happens if they're in hyperspace and hit some debris now? I don't even know. I don't even know when characters are not alive in Star Wars any longer. Sabine got impaled and survived. Darth Maul got cut in half and came back. Palpatine got electrocuted, thrown into space, atomised and exploded, and somehow he survived. I don't even know what the rules and stakes are any longer in Star Wars, and I'm kind of past caring. Watching the show, there are some pretty visuals in there, but behind them, the story is in ruins. It's not even papering over the cracks at this point. It's like they papered over a pile of rubble. And I'm left in absolutely no doubt that hardcore fans of Star Wars will still come along and say, that's nice wallpaper.
I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic...
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.